Assalamualaikum everyone. In this session, we will conduct and discuss our given trigger for PBL. So now let us proceed to the fact number 1. The fact number 1 is freshwater fish are a crucial source of food for many people around the world. The ideas obtained from this fact is crucial source of food. What is the economic and nutritional value for this source of food? There are 94% of all freshwater fisheries occur in developing countries, stated by FAO in 2007, and contribute to the overall economic well-being by means of export commodity trade. It is estimated that freshwater fishes make up more than 6% of the world annual animal protein supplies for humans. Now let us proceed to fact number 2 by Alfira.
The second fact is they are also important for camp and recreation industries. So the first leading issues is what are the importance of recreational fishing? The recreational fisheries also provide the environmental benefit such as the protection of habitat and the fish stock, and also provide the alternative livelihood for fishing communities. The second question is, how does the recreational fishing maintain the sustainable fisheries management? So the recreation industries also support various economic activities which is related to fishing, such as travel, rental, accommodation, infrastructure, restaurant, and hotel, which is to stimulate the economic development. The collaboration between the anglers organization and the recreational fishing stakeholders is one of their initiative to maintain the sustainable fisheries development. The next question is, what are the impacts of recreational fishing to the freshwater ecosystem? So the negative impacts of the recreational fishing to the freshwater ecosystem, such as water pollution, which is one of significant threat to our environment. So for example, the sewage runoff, which is directly into the river, will affect the water quality level of the river and has potentially to increase the algal blooms on the surface water. So this will cause many fishes will die, and the fish cannot survive longer in this habitat. The introduction of the invasive species into the river will disrupt the freshwater ecosystem. So basically, the invasive species has potential to carry the virus, the disease, and this virus will infect to the another fishes and cause the many fishes will die also.
Hello, my name is Dafrino and I'll be talking about a few facts. So let us jump straight to it. So the facts I'll be talking about is freshwater fish are disappearing fast and there is not much we are doing about it. So from these facts, we brainstormed some issues and we came up with the declination of world freshwater fish stocks, and also the next issue is the impacts of the declination in world freshwater fish stocks. So from these two issues, we gathered up a few learning ideas. And the first learning ideas is what are the causes in the declination of wild freshwater fish stocks. Our findings found out that damming of rivers and fishing activities, which leads to overexploitation, improper fishing methods, and also fish spots to be the major causes of the decline. So from this first learning ideas, we wondered, what are the impacts if this, what will happen when the declination of wild freshwater fish stocks in the future? What is the impacts? So we found out that when we revise the damming of rivers, the construction areas, the effect of this damming of rivers greatly changes the water quality of the rivers. And with the dam being replaced in the river, there is a high probability that the fish will lose their habitats. And with the changes in water quality and fish loses their habitats, this leads to the decrease in the fish welfare. And then not only that, they are vulnerable, they are susceptible to dangers, and they have a higher mortality rate. When we're talking about when we're talking about fishing activities, we did mention overexploitation and improper fishing methods, as well as fish spots. Uh, Fishermen in general, whether it is local fishermen or people who went fishing for fun, fishermen in general, they tend to have a specific fish species or target species that they are uh, targeting. So with this, uh, they are pro with this overexploitation of that one species will lead to further extinction in the future. Hence, there will be a loss or reduce in fish diversity uh, when further studies are done. All in all, in overall, there is a disruption to the important ecological processes as well as the ecosystem services within or nearby the river. So that's it for these facts. For the next facts, I'm gonna give way to my colleague.
Next is fact number 4, which is wild freshwater in rivers, lakes, creeks, and ponds are our assets. 40% of world fish species are freshwater species. Ideas that can be generated from the facts are conservation action and number of freshwater species. For learning issue, first is how many species of freshwater fish in Malaysia and the action plan. Currently, there are 634 species of freshwater species exist in Malaysia from 68 families, while Cyprinidae is the largest family. The second learning issue, what is the ecoregion of freshwater fish in Malaysia? Malaysia is located in Oriental ecoregion. For the last learning issue, what is the conservation status of freshwater species in Malaysia? Taxonomy and conservation management in Malaysia are still in the discovery stage. 76% of fish species are threatened by habitat loss, while the production of non-native species is much higher than native species.
Okay. Freshwater fish have many importance. We can divide into two aspects, which is environment aspect and socio-economic aspect. For the environment aspect, fish occupy almost all major aquatic habitat where they can play a critical role in the function of their ecosystem. For example, inland fish serve as excellent indicator of ecosystem change due to their continuous exposure towards the water conditions. They display an array of biotic responses such as changes in growth or distribution related to the pollution, eutrophication, and others. For socio-economic aspect, freshwater fish, as we know, provide food and livelihood for millions of people and contribute to the overall economic well-being by means of export commodity trade, tourism, and recreation. They also contribute to global food security as they represent the primary animal protein sources, especially for the rural economies in developing countries. Freshwater fish also provide an advancement in disease control and medical research benefiting human health. Additionally, management of inland fisheries provide opportunities for knowledge transfer and capacity building across political jurisdiction. Okay. Freshwater fish also serve many purposes in some country. For example, in Malaysia, they become source of income for many people, especially in aquaculture industries, because of high demand in protein. The aquaculture sector has grown into a lucrative and sustainable industry associated with the culture of high value of freshwater fish. They also play a major role in exporter industry and foreign exchange.
Hello, I'm back. Last time I talked about the declination of freshwater fish stocks. Now this time I'm going to talk about how the fishing activities and other activities leads to the decreasing of wild freshwater fish stocks around the world. So what better way for me to explain to you how these fishing activities and other activities affect the declination of fish stocks. So let me explain it by using an illustration. Let's say we have a river. Let's say this is our river. And in this river, we have a few fishes. Yeah, our fish, this is our fish. Let's say this is our upstream. No. This is downstream. And this is upstream. Upstream and downstream. So let's say we touch about damming of rivers, right? You see, when a dam is built on the river, as you can clearly see, it blocked the passageway for these fishes to migrate. They will have a difficult time, or they will be injured or damaged when they finally arrive to the targeted migration site. So why do fish migrate actually? Well, fish migrates mainly for reproductive purposes, or they want to find shelter, or they are looking for food or foraging food. So as we can clearly see is that building a river, building a dam on the river will greatly affect their uh, their habits of migration. It will block their migration routes, making it difficult for them to reproduce, to forage for food, or to find shelter. So then we also touch about how fishing activities or improper fishing methods affect the fish. Well, there are several improper fishing methods, such as the use of electric shocker. Let's say this is a small river, and then this is us. We are using an electric shocker to catch some fish, right? However, however, when we are using an electric shocker, let's say the gray one is species A, the one that we desire, and the purple one is species B, the one that we don't want. When we are using the electric shocker, both species A, species B, and also any other species that are nearby will be affected. This will greatly affect the balance of the river, and then it will lead to reduce or loss of diversity in the fish in the river. And then the next improper fishing method we're going to talk about is fish bombing. Using the same river, there are a lot of fish. There are a variety of species of fish. The different colors indicate different species. So when we do fish bombing, right? When we do fish bombing, here, it will create a massive explosion that will affect a huge area. This is just an illustration, so you can get the picture. It will affect a huge area of the river. And not only we get our targeted species, we also get the unwanted species similar to the electric shocker. Hence, it will also lead to reduce in diversity. And not only that, some fish rely on the roots of trees as shelter. So any trees or roots of trees that fish uses as shelter will also be destroyed, leading to loss of habitats as well. So that's it from me. I'm gonna give the next slot to my next colleague.
Hi, my name is Anne. I will be presenting about the last fact for this PBL, which is global warming, climatic changes, and pollution also play a role in killing freshwater fish population. If the fish species drop, there could be serious impact on wild ecosystems. So there are two ideas that I can find from this fact, which are the severe impacts on pollution created towards the environment, and second is the ways that we can preserve these ecosystems. So there are 5 learning issues, which is first, how do you measure global warming? Second, what are the types of climatic changes that could affect these population? Third, how does global warming affect the population? Fourth, what could be the serious impact on the ecosystem? And the last one is, what should we do to preserve this ecosystem? So let me begin. So the actions is, first, global warming is measured by a mathematical simulation called the Global Circulation Models, which is GCM. These models are commonly used to predict atmospheric changes on Earth with satellite and require validation and sensitivity analysis. So what are the type of climatic changes that could affect this population? So the direction and magnitude of changes in weather patterns could result in hydrological regimes. For example, precipitation. When precipitation increases, this could alter the global weather. For example, changes in amplitude and period of global circulation, which resulted in El Nino in the southern oscillation. So changes in thermohaline circulation could also affect the fishes living in freshwater. For the third one is that, how does this affect the fishes? So first, we know that freshwater fishes are exotherm, which cannot regulate their body temperature, which are identical to the environmental temperatures. So because of this, their function, the temperature of the water reflect on their thermal tolerance, growth, metabolism, food consumption, reproductive system, and the ability to maintain homeostasis. So this could affect a lot of the fishes. Besides majorly on fish physiology, it also takes a toll on the habitat itself. Hydrologic regimes that involve different magnitudes of peak flows and low flows could result in increased success of invasive species, which could be dangerous for the local species living in the freshwater. It also changes temperature in streams and groundwater and could result in eutrophication, which is another case itself. And the global climate could also change, could affect the aquatic systems through changes in hydrologic cycle, which are evaporation, evapotranspiration, and precipitation. Last but not least, what can we do to preserve these populations? Authorities could perform a better assessment of extinction risk. By then, we know which to protect more. There's a range of red, yellow, and green, if I'm not mistaken. There is also always a possibility that remnant population will be discovered that we don't know yet. So especially where habitats are difficult to sample, for example in rural areas, and the chances of finding rare species are quite low these days. To be most effective, freshwater protected areas should have control over the upstream damage network, the surrounding land, the riparian zone, and downstream reaches, and maintain both of these connectivity pathways. By then, we can learn more about our freshwater population and we can eventually protect them. Fish population can be rehabilitated also by appropriate regulation, for example, catch and release zones, like tourists can come and catch, but then eventually we'll release them just for the sake of recreation. No-take zones in critical areas for breeding and recruitment, and even manage relocation and reintroduction. So that's it for me for this last PBL, last fact. Thank you.